When you go on social media, the concept of being a business owner or an entrepreneur is something which is massively glamorized. Everyone talks about the fact it can make you loads of money and you could be somebody in a position of great power. This is all true and it could have some major benefits, but as we know, not every career path is suited for everybody. Regardless, if you think that you're somebody who can or does want to be an entrepreneur and wants to run your own business, I want to make this video to kind of cover some of the stresses that you will have to face in the process of running that business. As myself, somebody whose business has changed in the last week or so, going from making say £10,000 a month roughly on eBay, I've now had to question myself and decide to what I'm going to be doing on all of my different platforms and ultimately how I'm going to advance my business to move on to the next level. Now that ties in very well with the point that I want to make for this video. There are a lot of tough choices that you have to make as a business person. When you go on social media, what you often see is the end result of a lot of hard work. You see people who have lovely cars, nice houses, and live the lifestyle that we could all dream of. The thing is, whilst that lifestyle is obtainable to most, the problem is it's got a big hurdle in your way. Lots of stress, lots of hard work, and lots of tricky decisions. And there's no problem with that, but many people don't actually know this when heading into business. And even when they do, when they face them, it's tougher than they would ever imagine. Like as I said, for me in the past week alone, I've had to question so much about this business. And the truth is, when you're running a business, it's highly unlikely that you know somebody directly who can help you to the degree that you will need. Obviously, friends and family can provide opinions and insight, but most people have a job. Most people work for a business. Not many people out there run a business full stop. So to find somebody who can give you relevant and necessary advice is few and far between. It requires a lot of self-education and a lot of learning, and that is tough because it looks like sometimes you have nowhere to turn to, as nobody really knows the answers to help you with your problems. Not only does a sense of somewhat isolation exist, you also have to work in the fact that you do deal with all your problems, which sounds obvious, but it actually comes with a lot of consequences. Have you made the right decisions for your business, and are you going to do well? Have you made the wrong decisions? And do you have enough mental willpower to stick to your guns either way? Obviously, if things are failing, it makes sense to switch up, but if things are going the way that you expected or are still on track, are you still in it? Are you willing to wait the 5 months to 6 months, the year for things to actually come good and for the results to come in? Many people struggle with this, and it really is a challenge with business. Especially when you expect results in say a week or two and it takes months, it is hard. Like on eBay, it took me about 4 months to go from £0 all the way up to about £10,000 worth of revenue. But once I got to that £10,000 worth of revenue to begin with, it wasn't long before I was making that much a month. And the same's true in any business. Once you get the ball rolling, it's very easy, but there's a lot of hurdles until it is a fully and well-established machine. This is what people do not understand. There's so many steps to get to that end result, and that's not a problem. That, in my opinion, is just part of the fun. But do you have what it takes to ultimately make it to the end goal? There's going to be a lot of things in this business that you don't know what you're working with. There's going to be a lot of risks that you will have to take, and that is obviously what business boils down to. It's risk to reward. The risk is quite high, but the reward is indefinite, as your business could reward you forever if you do well enough. And then there's the fact that you've got to keep up with market demands. What does your sector require? What is a new thing in your sector? Do you expect this to happen? Do you expect that to happen? Do you have your eye on the ball to make yourself a market leader in your sector, or at least to get as much business as you possibly can? And even once you've got everything established in that regard, there's still so much more to do. Do you know how to pay taxes? Do you know how to calculate your profits for your business and make spreadsheets? Do you know how to do customer service? Do you know how to employ people? All of that stuff is something which you may have to face in your business, and it is a lot more stress than you initially thought, because whilst you might have signed up for a small reselling business like I did, there's so much more that comes along with that, from the tax stuff to marketing to advertising to customer service. It is quite unbelievable, and it's all stuff that you have to do. And I think it's almost certain that there is going to be periods of self-doubt, periods where you don't believe that things can work, even if you're seeing the results that you'd like. For instance, I look back on some of my old YouTube videos on this channel from just a couple of weeks ago, and I spoke about the fact I was making a couple of £1,000s a month, and it didn't seem like a lot, it didn't seem good enough. Now obviously, when you're on the journey to advancement and everything needs to be better, it isn't necessarily the amount that you would like, but it still is really good going, and there's always going to be periods like that. No matter how good you're doing, can we do this better? And you'll start to doubt yourself, and that's not necessarily bad, but you need to acknowledge what this means. You need to look at the outer picture. If you're somebody looking in on your life, looking in on your business, is it going well? If you've started, I think it is, because you're already taking the first step, the first initiative to get the ball rolling. But then it's like, where do you go from there? How do you keep it growing, and how do you keep the business moving? What I'm trying to say is there's a constant cycle of almost never-ending hurdles. And once you get the business fully automated or running in a way that's smooth, once you've got established clients, customers, or a market to sell to generally, there's not much of a problem. But it's the first couple of weeks, months, and arguably years that are the struggle with business. And there are going to be lots of periods of self-doubt, of questioning whether this business is actually viable, of sales not going the way that you wish that they would, of services not working in the way that you wish that they would. In calculating things, in working out new methods, it's a lot to get your head around. And I'm not making this video to complain, but this is something which I have especially faced in the last couple of weeks, where I've had to question, how do I want my business to go? And do I actually want to continue in the reselling niche itself? And whilst I'm talking about my experiences reselling, this can apply to every field of business, as every industry is going to have its unique challenges, which you're going to have to face in order to advance to the next level of that business. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and I hope to see you again soon.